This lesson will review the use of metric conversions that you will be using when measuring things in meters and the need to convert them to other things. Could also be done with grams or liters. And the first thing I'd like to point out with the metric system, which is different than the English system you're used to, measuring in miles and feet, is the base units. The base units, there are three: grams, meters, and liters. It doesn't matter what you measure, it would be placed into those things. If you're measuring in grams, you're measuring the weight of something. If you're measuring meters, you're measuring the distance of something. If you're measuring liters, you're measuring the volume of something. The second thing that I'd like to point out is the units in the metric system, from largest to smallest. Kilo, hecto, deca, our base unit, deci, centi, and milli. Now notice that on the left side of the screen, the first letters are capitalized, and on the right side of the screen, they are lowercase. There is a reason for that you will see a little bit later on. But in order to do a metric conversion, knowing those first letters I underlined in blue is quite essential. And I'll show you why here in a moment. To remember those in the order that we learned them: K, H, capital D, our base, deci, centi, and milli. Knowing all those letters and the order they go in could be quite tricky. I encourage you to come up with some kind of sentence that will help you remember the order they go in. On an upcoming test, you will not be given this. My sentence, and you're welcome to use it, happens to be one that I've been using for several years now. Kangaroos hop down beaches during cheeky months. Bet you didn't know that a month could be cheeky. Maybe silly, but it has helped me remember the order of these all these years. So I encourage you either to use mine or create your own. Maybe you heard of the King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. That's another very popular one. Anyhow, so let's suppose that you measure the table that you're sitting at right in front of you, and you come to the measurement that it is 2.78 meters. Okay, well, meters is our base column here. 2.78. Now, if I were to say, hey, convert that to millimeters, well, how do you do that? Very simple. The first thing that you need to do to convert is figure out in that number where the decimal is. In this case, you can look right at it and see it. The decimal's right there. What column are we in currently? We're in the base column. Where do we want to go? Well, if you need to convert it to milli or millimeters, you need to go to that column. How many columns do we need to go? Well, we are moving one column, two columns, three columns, in that direction, or the right. So we need to move that decimal the same number of times in the same direction. So 2.78 meters would be 1, 2, 3, 2,780 millimeters. Now I see in the original number, I see a 2, a 7, and an 8. Where'd that 0 come from? This dip right here. There is no number in it. We have to plug any dip without a number with a 0. Let's take a look at one more example. what if you have a measurement and it is, let's say, 78 decigrams, and I asked you to convert that to decagrams. Okay, well, the first thing we need to do, once again, find the decimal. Looking at that number, I don't see a decimal. You have to understand that any time you look at a number such as 78 here, and you do not see a decimal, automatically it's at the end. You can kind of think of it like this. 78. If I were to say $78 and you put the decimal up front, $78 just became 78 cents. That's the power of the decimal. $78, 78 cents, which would you rather have? So, if we are moving from decigrams to decagrams, we are moving one column, two columns in that direction. We need to move our decimal that many times and in that direction. So it is 1, 2. We have 0.78 decagrams. Now, the reason why I have these capitalized and the rest lowercase is because of this. When we go to abbreviate, like say kilograms, capital K, little g, hectograms, capital H, little g, decagrams. And our base column, they remain just as you see them right there. Decigrams, centigrams, and milligrams. Now if we had them all uppercase or all lowercase, those two would be hard to differentiate. So we make them different using the capital letters or lowercase letters. If you have any questions, once again, as always, feel free to stop by my classroom or shoot me an email.